you've had a ton of accomplishments over your career, starting in Carolina, been accomplishing, a ton in San Francisco. You had a couple of years of adversity, though, that then ended up with the trade. I'm curious with, your background and being, having such a successful career up until that point. Not that you weren't successful, but you had some injuries and it was adversity. How did you handle that from a mental and emotional standpoint? And then how has that influenced now how you think about the game?
Yeah, it's a good question. I hated how I handled it at first. We had a new coach. I just got paid, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, and I got hurt. And it wasn't one bad injury. I think the most frustrating thing about it was a lot of little ones here and there that just kept me out. Like I couldn't play. Tried, just couldn't. And I didn't like how I handled it because I was so in my head, worried about things that I couldn't control. And because I'd had a lot of success in college, because I had a lot of success my first 3 years, that to me was the standard. And it should have been. But I didn't prepare for a bad thing to happen. And looking back, you don't really want to prepare to fail, but you should think about it. And that sounds weird, but I think when you understand what the worst thing that can happen is, and you mentally prepare for that, and you go over in your head, who do you want to be when something bad is going to happen? Because it's naive to think it's not, especially in the NFL. So when something bad happens, who do you want to be? How do you want to act? How do you want to be around your teammates? Even write it down. Like this is what I would have done differently. Like how do you want to represent yourself when this bad thing happens? And I wish I had prepared for that more. And I'd had so much success that I didn't prepare to fail. I'm like, I don't want to even think about failing. It
seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, it does. But I think it's actually a really good thing to do because you can then surrender. And I don't mean give up. I mean surrender the uncontrollables and completely lock in and be free. Free from pressure that you put on yourself, free from pressure from other people, and free from the worries of failing. And a lot of it is counterintuitive. We talked about the fear of failure. You have to have that fear of failure.
Yeah.
But you also can't let that be what you worship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it brought me a lot closer to God and my faith, and going through all those things, I realized that, man, here I am. It's weird, but like in weird ways, I've been so selfish in my own head my whole life. All I've thought about was, what can I do to get better all the time? And you learn to surrender those thoughts. You still have them, but you don't worship those. Then you let go. Hey man, look, it doesn't change how hard I work. It didn't change my intent, my mentality. Still work hard, if not harder, because I know more and I work better and smarter. But it changes the unnecessary pressures that come with those things. And so I wish I showed gratitude in those moments.
Yeah.
Instead of woe is me and man, this is tough. But I always respected the fact that I just kept going. I didn't give up. A lot of people said a lot of shit about me. He's done, he's injured, this and that. It's like, yeah, for now, but like if you literally just keep going, see where we're at in the end. It's like, this is a marathon. This is just part of the marathon. It's a page in the book. The book's not done yet, It's like you ever watch a movie and in the middle of the movie, you're like, what the hell? And then at the end of the movie, you're like, I thought I didn't like that guy. I actually really like that guy. It's like, this is just what it is. It's a book. And the book's not done yet. And when this book's done, you start a new one. But for now, you're just continuing to read. That's really how I look at it. And but you just got to keep going. I remember I would look to guys who had got hurt and like what they'd do after. Like AP was the MVP of the NFL the year after he blew his knee out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I always looked at that like, oh, like when it feels like the world's over, it's not.
Yeah.
I also think it was important to understand no one actually cares, you know, and they shouldn't, because everyone has their own life to live.
Right.
But in those moments, you think everyone is so mad at you because you're not playing, and you let your teammates down, you let your coaches down, and they do care. They want you on the field, but they have a job to do, and they're on to the next. Like they're not thinking about, oh, if Christian, it's like, who's the next guy up? We got to get him ready to go so we can try to win games, because that's all it is.
Right.
So I wish I was a little less, I don't want to say emotional, but like a little more stoic about the whole thing.